In this section, we hear from CMOs at Fox, Showtime, HBO, E! and Esquire on their launch success stories, from using national previews to leveraging movie launches and social media through content and using brand advocates. Jen Neal at E! and Esquire talks about how they're changing the marketing playbook by engaging their audience and enabling them to become the show activists on their behalf.
Let's start with the positive. I'd like to hear from each of you a success story of a launch that worked, and what was the secret behind it?
I'll go with Billions, January of last year. And we had launched our streaming service the previous July and signed to Amazon Prime as a new partner in December. It's kind of a perfect storm, and we ended up with the best numbers in Showtime's history.
How about Grease this January, a live musical, Highwire act. Tom McHale, who just won director for Hamilton, directed the show. We knew we had a broad audience, perfect for broadcast, and we leveraged social media and a lot of data targeting to find audiences and then use our younger cast to really amplify that through their social channels. So it was a limited budget and obviously a great success for us.
I think I'm going to go with Ballers, our season 1 launch, which was last June. Starring Dwayne Johnson, and the big thing for that show was that he was launching a movie, San Andreas, at the same time. And so the question was, you have this massive star, but he is more known for film. How do we make sure we don't get lost in all of that noise around his movie launch? And so, we had a lot to work with, and we did the obvious, sort of traditional things. It's a sports-themed show. He plays a retired football player. So we, partnered with ESPN and had a great fun partnership with them, and we launched an NFL draft and all of that. But the real, I think, sort of secret key ingredient was that DJ has this insane social footprint. It's over, at this point, I don't even know, it was over 50 million people. And we literally created like 40 different unique video assets that he put out. He was the one who posted the trailer himself. So I think it gave a real sense of ownership to his fans and from him. And then after premiere, he actually put the only place that we did the sampling of the premiere episode was on Facebook, which he did on his, he did himself, and we got like 5.5 million views. So I think it ended up being our biggest half hour in a long time, and it's continued to grow. So that was a really fun and gratifying one, I think.
For E, it was The Royals, which was our first launch of our first original scripted series. And the interesting part about why I think that was successful is at E! We are absolutely thinking about how do we change the marketing playbook and how are we fundamentally shifting the philosophical approach to marketing. And The Royals was the first time that we were actually starting to put this into action. So what we're doing is we're moving away from big GRP distribution as a one-to-one connection to our audiences and our fan base. And what we're really focused on right now is how are we creating this custom content to speak to our millennial women audience. We have a very young female audience, and they're in digital and social, and they want all of this content. And how do we get them to get excited about the shows? So what we want to do is we want to engage this audience and surround them so that they are becoming activists on our behalf. So they're actually working media, they're evangelizing the brand and the show. And so through the effort for the Royals, it was one of our most integrated campaigns, hundreds of pieces of content that were orchestrated not only 6 months out, but it was beyond the launch for us. It was about how do you drive original interest and get them excited, but then what are you doing in between episodes, whether that's week to week, if they're binging in between that, and also where are they watching this? Is it on VOD? Is it linear? How are we speaking to them throughout the season? One of the things we also learned was that by creating all of this content across all the platforms they were on, we were listening and retargeting them and understanding what they wanted to be consuming, and we started to pick up on this notion that they were self-identifying themselves as loyals to the Royals. So they were getting so excited and engaging at the highest level. So we continued to fuel that fire and continued to speak to them that way. So anytime that you can have your audience self-select, identify with the show with that heightened engagement, we knew we were onto something with that custom content creation. And for us, that was one of our most successful shows and a great foray into scripted for E!
From our perspective, we're very fortunate in that we get to work with a lot of networks across the board and a lot of successful campaigns. And to your point with audience, it's really about how do you engage with that audience, how do you find that audience, and in television where our world lives, it's incredibly difficult because of the fragmentation and because of the fact that people's viewing habits have changed so much. So what we've seen as being really successful in the marketers that we've worked with is being able to identify and also take risks against those audiences and going out and looking for people differently across that space. And what we're able to do is not only go after a specific target and hit them where they're most likely to view, but also to be able to change and to learn and to understand where those people are going to be and how we can potentially bring in new people that maybe would not have been the target that you thought you were going after, but end up being the best possible result.
The best one we've been involved with recently is a sports competition in another market. But all the great launches that we worked with, they share common characteristics, and that's where everybody knows what the media is doing, whether it's an upper funnel media, whether it's closer towards the intent to view. So the TV is really working to build awareness, and then using the social to drill down into those specific segments that are going to be interested in the event.